Dean and I are here at Disneyland on Main Street. Dean, can you tell us which was the very first building that was built at Disneyland?
This opera house right here on the east side of Main Street as you enter is the first building built here, and it was used as the lumber mill before anything else.
Obviously, when they were constructing, they needed the building.
That's right.
So to hide it, they built this structure. And for many years, it was not a guest experience. I think the first thing that came out was the Babes in Toyland in segments, and that was in 1961. After that, it became the Mickey Mouse Club headquarters. That was for the syndicated version of the classic Mickey Mouse from the 1950s.
Everyone grab your ears.
And they did film new material for the syndicated version of the 60s. So this was the headquarters. But it never really found its true purpose until 1965.
Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln was brought to Disneyland when it was transplanted here at Disneyland, here in the Opera House, from the 1964 World's Fair.
And that World's Fair ran for 2 seasons, 1964 and 1965. So Mr. Lincoln was still running in New York at the World's Fair when it premiered here at Disneyland. That means the Imagineers had to construct 2 Mr. Lincoln figures. And Mr. Lincoln that debuted in 1965, the 10th anniversary of Disneyland, was the most elaborate animatronic figure made up until that time.
Lane Gibson was the sculptor of the Lincoln figure's face, and there's an authentic replication of a life mask taken from Abraham Lincoln's life before he was president, before he had a beard, as they say in one of the pre-show videos here. And Walt Disney shows off Lane's work, as well as his love for Abraham Lincoln. He loved Abraham Lincoln as a boy, and even dressed up as Lincoln. And we explored a lot more of that sort of, some of those details in our Digging the Details video about Great Mr. Lincoln, which you can watch also.
But it's fun to dig in details at Disney.
In person.
And one of the great things about Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, as Dean just mentioned, it's not only a reflection of Walt Disney's great love for Lincoln, it represents an incredible amount of work from some legendary Imagineers. You already mentioned Lane Gibson, who was the go-to sculptor for many decades. In fact, he sculpted the partner statue in Town Square. In addition to Many, Mark Davis, of course, was what I like to call a superstar of the Mr. Lincoln attraction, because he's the one that figured out how it was going to all work and how the Lincoln figure could be animated to give a performance, a convincing performance.
And wonderful concept art can be seen within the Opera House by Sam McKeon, replications of it anyway, of the beautiful colors and scenes that you can enjoy here in the Opera House.
Very important to set the mood for the presentation. One thing that I hear people say sometimes is that Mr. Lincoln is not a very good fit for Main Street. Sometimes people feel it's more appropriate for Frontierland.
It sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I can see people thinking that.
Yeah.
But this is the Disneyland Opera House on Main Street for a theater that had live performances at the turn of the 20th century. This is exactly the kind of dramatic presentation that would be done. It's really actually a great fit. People would go to the Opera House to see pageants and tableau, and hear speeches. So this actually fits in perfectly.
You're right. That actually is very, very appropriate. I, for one, absolutely love this attraction, and I know you do too, Jim. We try to experience it at least once every time we come to visit Disneyland, and I always come away with a little bit of a mist in my eye. Very, very touching.
Absolutely. It's incredibly powerful, and I know you've seen it many times, Dean, as have I, and it's quite incredible. Again, it reminds us of the power and the ability to communicate with audiences that audio animatronics is. Present Mr. Lincoln figure is one of the most elaborate audio animatronics figures ever created. keeping in with tradition and how this has always been at the forefront of audio comics, especially the head, which I believe was the first electric head. So it's capable of great expression, a great emotion.
Physical mannerism. Yeah.
Yes. And can do more than the figure even does in the show. But I think especially you see it in the eye. The eyes are absolutely amazing. They are so alive and so expressive. So to me, that's where you really see the advance.
It's incredible when sometimes things can look a bit uncanny, that this looks so realistic.
We both would encourage everyone to experience great moments with Mr. Lincoln and keep in mind that this is not, in a way, the Lincoln of history. This is Mr. Lincoln, presented by Walt Disney, speaking to us today in his words.
And it's an attraction that can sometimes feel overlooked or underappreciated, but we really appreciate it and really enjoy it every single time.
Yeah, and it's a powerful experience that's definitely worth everyone's shot.
Yeah.
During our exhaustive research into Lincoln's life, we studied his mannerisms, his gestures, and even his voice characteristics to create a faithful likeness of this honored man. The final result is so lifelike that you might find it hard to believe.